My girlfriend wants a baby but I don't, and we're 2 weeks away from moving in together. Me, 28F, and my girlfriend, 26F, have been together for 3 years and are moving in together. I have a part-time job and an online business I'm trying to pick up from the ground while my girlfriend works at a preschool, so you can imagine we're barely meeting the mark in living costs alone, hence me moving in with her since she has the lower rent. We've had talks about our wants in life, what career, dream trips, and family type. I've made it clear that I'm child-free due to my upbringing of parentification. Basically, I'm already tired and done with the child raising. She agreed as her job was enough when it came to child care. This was a year ago. While I was bringing in the last boxes for the day, I get a text from her that she wanted to talk about something important. I figured it was about the stuff Ina's bringing in. I had more boxes back at my place and followed her into her bedroom. She sat me down and told me if I ever thought about marrying her one day. I admit I wasn't sure yet since we're barely moving in together and we needed to get to know each other on this level first before making a big commitment like that. Heard plenty of horror stories of couples getting married before moving in and grew to hate each other. I still loved her, but I wanted to know everything with each step. She understood and brought up the reason why she was asking this. She wants to have kids after all. I was surprised to hear this. The preschool she works at is closer to my current place, so she'd swing by to decompress from it. She would tell me how exhausted and stressed she was from the kids and would even nap for hours before either staying the night or leaving back to her place after dinner. So I was very confused and asked what changed her mind, and she tells me whenever she helps the kids with their projects or they gift her with drawings and bracelets, it makes her really happy. She even feels jealous towards these same kids giving their bigger projects to their parents and wanted that too. She would picture us picking our kid from school and it would make her excited for the future. After hearing this, I had to remind her that that's not possible since I'm child-free, and she says, "Still? Don't you feel like we could be doing more with our lives though? Wouldn't it be nice to have a mini-me or a mini-you running around?" No offense to parents and guardians here, but the idea of that made me cringe. I dealt with enough of my own siblings growing, and all I remember is being exhausted, stressed, and too young to be taking care of 4 younger kids while I was barely getting out of elementary school. We got into a bit of an argument with her saying I was keeping her away from motherhood, while I told her we made it clear with each other that we wanted to be child-free, so springing this on me all of a sudden as I'm moving in feels like a lot. We were going in circles with neither of us budging until she threw in the towel telling me to sleep on the couch. Admittedly, this made me mad and I left the apartment entirely to sleep back at my place. I have 2 weeks left to move out, but I was so mad I was considering if I could cancel the move out with my landlord. I know just the thought alone is petty of me, but if having a kid is what she wants and I don't, then it was becoming obvious we were going to no longer be a good fit for each other. Either outcome, one of us would possibly grow to hate the other. I love her like crazy. I even admit the idea of marrying her did cross my mind many times, but I'm trying to stay reasonable here with what we both want. She wants me and a family with kids, but I just want her and maybe a pet. Right now I'm just sitting here on my mattress on the floor, and we're gonna need to talk about this. Especially with a third of my stuff now sitting at her place. What can I do about all of this? Edit. I feel I need to clarify this. We're both mid-20 females, so it's not possible for me to get her pregnant. Although I do appreciate the concern and warnings about intimacy regardless. Update. Okay, I really don't know where to start from this. I want to thank those who commented on my last post and all the advice they have given me, and I feel I should also clarify some stuff. My girlfriend and I are both cis women, so I can't get her pregnant. Meaning hypothetically if we did have kids, it would have to be through a sperm donor or adoption. As ideal as it would be to move back with my parents during this time, they're unfortunately the type who believe my life is not fulfilled being child-free. We even had a fight over this with them begging for grandchildren since I'm the oldest, not taking into account the parentifying they put me through being the biggest reason I don't want kids. They even said me helping with my siblings could count as training to be a parent. Honestly, that just made me more upset. I know people change their minds and are sometimes happier for it, but others that did so are more miserable for it, and I know I'll be the second type. Don't get me wrong, I love my siblings and would do anything for them, but it doesn't take away that I spent what should have been my own childhood building up theirs. I've done my share of parenting already, too much of it, and I refuse to go back. As for my girlfriend, now ex, building up a fantasy of parenthood, that seems to be the case, but there was another that I really hoped wasn't true. So, next morning I get a text from her, asking if I can come back and we have a talk about our fight. I was hoping with the cool-down time we'd be more civil with the discussion, but just in case I called my brothers, 24M and 21M, and asked them for help and be on standby. Despite the rough life I had to endure, at least my siblings recognized it was me raising them and our parents taking most of the credit, so they're always at the ready to help me when I needed it. I rarely asked for any, so my brothers were quick to show up when I felt really desperate. I feel like I should give placeholder names here so my brothers will be Tom, 24, and Jerry, 21, and girlfriend Sarah. So Tom and Jerry come over and I tell them I have to have a serious talk with Sarah, and if things go south, I'll need them with the moving van close by to get my stuff back. I left an email toy landlord about the moving situation hoping I can cancel the moving date, but if it doesn't work out then Tom agreed to help me get a storage lot for my stuff and have me stay at his place until I can get a new place, so a backup plan is covered. I went to Sarah's and she was puffy-eyed and red, hugging and apologizing to me for getting upset with me, and we started talking. To the commenters who threw in the idea that she may already be pregnant and cheated, I hate how right you were. She found out a week ago and was telling me how scared she was to be carrying a child and not knowing what to do, but the thought of being parent brought her so much joy and she wanted to share that joy with me. She started hamming up a fantasy about us being a great team with both our experiences and I just started blanking out. Like I can see her excitedly talking and all I can hear is, she cheated, she cheated, she cheated. After what felt like I swallowed gallons of seawater, she stopped talking, held my hand and proposed. I just about had enough. Here was the woman I love, kneeling before me in a teary-eyed smile, and I'm trying not to scream and throw up over this being the thing people were right about. I asked her, so, you cheated on me, got pregnant, and you're expecting me to just marry you and love happily ever after with this? Guys, the look she gave me, actually shocked by what I said, made me want to leave, but I needed answers. When did she cheat? How and with who? How long does it even take for a pregnancy to happen between then and now? Sarah wouldn't answer the question, she just kept accusing me of accusing her of being unfaithful and at shaming her for her actions. She said she did it for us and the pregnancy was a beautiful thing she was willing to carry out for us, as if she did us a favor. She even had the nerve to say that if I really loved her, I'd stay and raise our child together. I couldn't take it anymore and just went into the bathroom and locked myself in there, texted my brothers to come up and finally threw up in there while Sarah kept jiggling the doorknob. Eventually, I get the text Tom and Jerry are at the door and I finally leave to open it with Sarah now tugging on my sweater, begging and crying to hear her out. It didn't get any better when Tom and Jerry came in and began grabbing my boxes. She tried throwing books at them, so I tried to restrain her without hurting her. The boys didn't budge or stray, they were passing the boxes all outside the hall while Sarah continued to scream and scratch at my arms under my sleeves. Eventually she got a really bad scratch and made me let go and she ran into the bathroom and kept screaming and crying in there. Jerry warned me that she's only doing that to keep me from leaving and hoping I go and to comfort her, and to just keep gathering my boxes so he and Tom can keep getting them out. Neighbors were coming out to see the commotion, and I had to keep getting in between my brothers and them and explain what was going on, and all I had on my mind was hoping none of them would call the police. Thankfully, either the neighbors took our word, or this was the one time the police took their time showing up, because we got my stuff back into the truck in about half an hour. I really hope some of you weren't right. That she didn't cheat, that I wasn't going to be baby trapped, or she'd even think she could accomplish that with me having nothing to do with it biologically. Like WTAF is my life right now? Here I thought I was safe from that kind of situation, but yoke on my face I guess. I just don't know anymore, guys. Thank you for the warnings and the theories. Despite them all keeping me from sleeping, they kept me on edge for all the right reasons, and being an overthinker, I'm glad I was prepared for this outcome. I'm glad Tom and Jerry were there at the ready, because who knows what could have happened if I did this alone? Even Jerry brought that up, knowing how hesitant I was asking for help. Great moment for an I told you so mate, but I know they both mean well. Especially Tom bringing his dog over for emergency cuddles while we wait for my landlord to get back to me. Until then, Jerry says he can stay over for a couple days until we know what we're gonna do next. So I guess the packing is in between a halt and still ongoing until my outcome is decided by my landlord. Again, thanks so much you guys. I'll be sure to update once we know what the next course of action is, but for now I just want to lay down and cry with this giant, lovable ball of fur takes up half the mattress. Update 2. To those who want just a catch-up, my now ex and I were supposed to move in together. She brought up in the middle of me moving in that she wants kids after all, despite us both making it clear we were child-free. It looked like we were on the path of breaking up, so I went back to my old apartment. She asked to talk and admitted she was already pregnant and expected me to be happy about it. I obviously wasn't. It was a messy situation to get out of there, with my brothers helping me move my stuff back and she's not taking the consequences well. I was really hoping this would be my last update, but with the telenovela nonsense that is my life right now, more kept happening every time I felt ready to update you all. So for starters, my landlord got back to me and canceled the move out so I can remain in my current apartment. Jerry has been really attentive, and honestly sometimes it did feel a little weird while he stayed over this whole time. For one thing, he piles a bunch of my plushies on me when I'd fall asleep. You really don't realize how much you have until it's piled all over you. I would cry a lot just laying there on mattress with no energy to build the bed frame back, and many times he came by to just hold me while I sobbed. I mean, here's the same kid I had to hold while he cried over his first breakup, and here he is having the nerve to grow 2 feet taller than me, turning the tables. He really is just the sweetest. I feel bad for depending on him so much, even getting nervous whenever we had to go to work in case Sarah attempted to show up, so every day I came back to the apartment felt like I could breathe easily again. Tom wasn't a fan of how shut in we were, being like caged animals, constantly cursing Sarah under his breath whenever he had the chance to visit. During all of this, they kept a watchful eye on her socials. She blocked them both, but not an account Jerry had for just digital art, and if there's one thing he stood by the most since being in grade school, it's to never throw the first punch. So there he was, monitoring any steps she was gonna take with evidence in hand if she was gonna spin a different tale. But before that could happen, you guys were once again right about what she'd try next, because yeah, she went to our parents about the situation. They both called me and I brought Tom and Jerry in tow, only to find Sarah crying tears of joy as she went to try and hug me while our parents were excited for us. WTAF. She told them we were engaged and she had the gall to show up with a ring and everything. The damn thing was from her side of the family she never took outside of its box. Tom and Jerry had to block her away from me, and it was unsettling watching her act like everything was normal, holding her belly and acting like the innocent expecting fiancé. Tom pushed me into the kitchen as Jerry took out his phone. I was kept in there trying not to have an anxiety attack while I could hear Jerry yelling over Sarah as he showed our parents all the evidence he collected. Dad came into the kitchen and pulled my sleeves up, looking like he was gonna throw up seeing the scratches, marched back to the living, and now he was shouting at Sarah. This part happened so fast. She came into the kitchen with our parents and Jerry chasing after her, and Tom swinging me into the corner of the kitchen, shouting stay the fuck away from her. Keeping himself between me and Sarah, holding on to me like a scared child. Again, oh how the tables have turned. My mom came in like a bat out of hell, grabbing Sarah by the hair to drag her out with Dad and Jerry keep Sarah from falling. Sarah kept screaming for me to help her until I heard the door slam. Sarah banged and screamed at the door for a good while before he heard her car speeding off the driveway. After she was gone, our mother tried to scold me for getting involved with her, but Jerry and Dad already had enough and yelled at her to shut up, so she just left for her room pouting like a child. I swear, even in a situation like this, none of us wanted to deal with narcissism next, so the three of us took her self-time out as a chance to leave. Even after all of that happening, Jerry still held on to the evidence and kept waiting. Sure enough, Sarah made the post he was waiting for, spinning a tale of me running away from an agreed pregnancy and leaving her alone as a single mother, even going so far as to bash my brothers for ganging up on her and threatening to harm her. On cue, Jerry posted the screenshots of her spam messages admitting to the cheating and basically trying to baby trap me, pictures of my injuries and ruined sweater, and even got the doorbell cam from our parents' house of her showing up days after and getting kicked out and screaming at the door with what actually happened in paragraphs. Then he went back to her post and spammed the comment section replies with the pictures and links to the post. Even some of the people in the comments were already questioning her story, since a lot of them knew she and I were child-free, but for those ready to take her side were quickly given a reality check. He even edited his post to provide the link to her post and went right back to screenshooting everything before she had the chance to delete her post. Honestly scares me how on point and at the ready Jerry was with this, even going so far as already trying to find clues on the baby daddy and the night she likely cheated. Anybody need a guy in the chair? So yeah, everything's been hell for the past few weeks, but Jerry's being a total media sleuth in between, helping me unpack along with Tom. Tom's been talking to a lawyer friend of his in case we gotta go the legal route. Jerry's now getting office supplies and organizing a folder like his next scrapbook project, but until we decide to do that, we're keeping an eye out, especially our mother. She and Dad may not have been reliable growing up, but if it's physical defense or getting the gossip train going, she's our best bet to see if she further sinks Sarah's ship to keep her from doing any more harm. Thanks again to everyone who's been keeping up with me on this, and I'm sorry to those of you who've been asking for updates or just didn't get a reply. I've been feeling mentally drained from all of this, and really, if it wasn't for my brothers taking the wheel here, I probably would have buckled to it all. I thought I knew better on what to do, but I really do suck at taking my own advice when it comes to crazy. Update 3. Hello again. I'm sorry for not checking in here for so long, but thank you all nonetheless for the kind messages you sent me. I'm really sorry for not responding to any of it. Ever since my last update I've been in a dark place for the most part. It feels weird. I'm still doing my job and household work relatively okay, but it feels like I'm looking through a clouded window while my body does the work. I knew it was getting really bad when Jerry stood in front of me and I had to process he was still here, and I just felt so terrible he had to see me this way. I could see him talking, but he sounded so muddled until I fully came back to register him. We had a talk, and he suggested that he could move in if it'll make me more comfortable knowing he's not temporary. I felt bad thinking he was gonna be stuck taking care of me through this, but he says he doesn't mind and he just wants to make sure I'm okay. Either way, I'm gonna try extra hard to mentally be present and get some therapy, because clearly how I'm processing everything isn't going so great. So, on what happened with Sarah, as I've mentioned somewhere in the comments of my last post, her parents got involved when I received a call from her mother. I was still in my dark place, so I just left it ringing until she sent a text instead wanting to meet up to discuss the situation. Originally I didn't want to, but Tom made it a point that I'll need to shut things down on that end too to keep them from potentially bothering me in Sarah's stead, especially if they buy her story. Jerry hasn't had much luck finding the father. Not a lot of Sarah's friends are much help despite being there the night she cheated. He figured out that part by one of them admitting she was flirting with some guy that none of them knew, and she claimed to have gotten an Uber ride home earlier than them. They sent him screenshots of texts with her confirming she got home safe, but not much else to figure out who the guy was. So it's a bit of a dead end, and I told him to just give up since it's out of our hands now. As for the actual meeting with her parents, that got really ugly. I know during these situations it's best to meet in a public place, but with how the last interactions went, I was afraid if we met at a park or restaurant, all it takes is one phone camera and an outburst, and we'd be all over social media. Tom found a restaurant with one of those closed-off rooms for dining parties, so we settled for that to meet with her parents to clear the air. They originally were trying to get me to come alone, but I argued I wouldn't come at all if I didn't have Tom and Jerry with me. So at the restaurant, it was really awkward with all of us ordering. I felt especially bad for the waiter. Poor guy probably sensed what was happening as soon as he walked in. Oh my God, guys, it was so bad. Sarah told her side, I told mine. Jerry took out his folder of printouts. At this point, kid should have been a lawyer, and Tom tried to keep everyone from getting too loud. Eventually her mother was going on and on about the sanctity of marriage and how we need to be a team. For the love of God, we weren't even actually engaged. And how I need to be a good partner and be there for my future wife and child. At this point, Jerry would have been thrown out of the courtroom if he did become a lawyer, so please excuse the language here, but this is what he yelled. Oh my God, SHE doesn't even have a $CK, ITS not her baby. I swear, you could hear whoever could have been eavesdropping on the whole thing hiss in their teeth with how quiet it got. Her parents were in shock, I was horrified, and Tom, I don't know? Also horrified but in agreement? And Jerry just kept going, how the ring Sarah was wearing wasn't even from me, how I didn't have one, being child-free, and yeah, the whole not being a reproductive candidate in this equation. After that was all off his chest, Jerry gathered his folder and stood behind Tom as if he was putting himself in a timeout, or was exhausted, I don't know? Probably both. Neither I, Sarah, or her parents knew what else to add from there. Sarah kept trying to grab either of their hands to get them to look at her, but they just wouldn't. Eventually, they apologized and got up to leave. Sarah then started to argue again, but they were both quick to tell her to shut up and go get in the car with them or she was completely on her own. Sarah looked at me with those sad eyes I always fell apart for and left with her head down and parents following. That was 2 weeks ago, and now she's back home with them in another city. Even with the distance, Jerry and I got the okay for a doorbell camera and had it set up already. I'm still waiting for an opening for a therapist, but in the meantime I'm still trying to get out of my funk and focusing on moving Jerry in. The landlord was okay with it considering the situation. I honestly feel so bad with doubting him on having my back on all of this, but he's been pretty lenient with me and I really appreciate him for that. He even had my locks changed with no extra charge and gave us those screw-on window locks. Jerry's settling in with his stuff and Tom got a weekend off from his job to help move things and stay over on the now-acquired new beanbag chair from Jerry's old apartment. One time in the morning, I checked with him to see if he really was okay with this, and he was more than happy. He says where he was living wasn't so great and this way it feels like he's home again. My siblings really got a knack for making me cry over cereal, but it felt nice that they were kinda happy tears for a change. Sarah hasn't tried to contact me ever since she left, but some old friends have. Those of them who took her side despite all the evidence are no longer my friends and have been blocked after collecting those screenshots, while the ones who saw the situation for what it was remained supportive of me and cut the ones buying Sarah's crazy off for good. It still feels weird calling her that, crazy. She was someone I loved and was so excited to see if we can live together well enough to keep moving forward in our relationship, and now I don't even recognize her anymore. I don't know if she'll keep working in schools. All I know is of course she left the school she worked at and that her parents are trying to find the father. But despite everything she put me through, I really hope she gets the help she needs. I don't like that she was selfish, cheated, and tried to baby trap me. I see that. But before all of it I still loved her, and whatever she decides with this pregnancy, I hope she gets that help before moving on to her next step. Thank you all for being here for me during this. I suspect this'll be my last update, but if anything else happens, I'll let you all know. Jerry keeps the folder in a locked drawer with only us and Tom having a key to it, and he still checks on things online from time to time if he needs to update anything, so I hope with this being potentially over means he can be on the screens less. I fear he may be hurting his eyes more than he should. Please be safe and take care of yourselves everyone.